Good evening and welcome to the special presentation section of our council meeting today, September 19th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. Number one on our agenda is our business spotlight, and we will spotlight our business farm market. And located at 14058 Redlands Boulevard in Moreno Valley, Farm Market is delighting locals with a wide variety of farmers market style grocery items like fresh spices and an exciting mix of fresh vegetables, fresh foods prepared daily on site, like barbecue, chicken pizza, delicious Indian dishes, and fresh meat and seafood. Fast, friendly, and convenient, Farm Market offers vegetarian options like mixed veggies and lentils and popular Indian dishes like chicken tikka, marsala, and naan bread. Today, we recognize the farm market with this business spotlight video. We're waiting for the video to roll.
My name is Harpreet from Farm Market. We are a grocery store that sells fresh meat, produce, beer, wine, hard liquor, and even Indian grocery items such as flour, lentils, and a variety of spices. We also make fresh pizza and authentic Indian food. We are a family-owned business, so we treat our customers like family. For the best pizza and Indian food and the freshest meat, come to Farm Market.
Thank you. Councilman Ulises Cabrera will be presenting the DVD and presenting the owner of Farm Market. If Mr. Harpreet Dub would please come to the microphone.
How you doing? Here's the here's the DVD as well. And would you like to say a few words?
Thanks for the opportunity to make the video. I hope it helps our business, and I hope to see some of you there. Thank you.
Take a picture.
Let's give Farm Market another applause. Okay, tonight I have the honor of introducing the Moreno Valley Police Department Officer of the First Quarter, Officer Jay Wilner. Here to present the honors is Chief of Police Joel Ontiveros.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. Officer Wilner is assigned to the Community Services Unit and performs a variety of tasks that often go unnoticed. He's an expert on the citywide camera system and assists with the upkeep of the system from the police department side, as well as assisting with multiple significant investigations. He also regularly demonstrates the system to representatives from other cities and agencies interested in developing camera systems with similar capabilities. I have received numerous compliments from those who have been lucky enough to receive such a demonstration from Officer Wilner. Officer Wilner is also in charge of the volunteer program. He helps to train and coordinate our large contingent of volunteers performing a variety of duties, including traffic control, DUI and CDL checkpoints, anti-graffiti patrols, and mobile command post responses for major incidents. In 2016, our volunteers provided more than 5,200 hours of service to the city of Moreno Valley, and Officer Wilner was and continues to be directly involved in the overall success of that program. In addition to all of this, Officer Wilner coordinates and manages police substations throughout the city. Substations provide officers with a safe place in their beat area to write reports, handle phone calls, or take a brief break from the rigors of their daily activity. Officers can remain in their patrol areas and respond more quickly to calls for service. Without those substations, officers would be forced to return to the station for most or all of these activities. Officer Wilner and others who work in the background providing vital support often go unnoticed. Today, we're happy to break that pattern and recognize Officer Jay Wilner as the Officer of the First Quarter for 2017. Congratulations, Jay.
Congratulations, officers. Congratulations. Just wanted to say, on behalf of the City Council, congratulations for being the Officer of the Quarter. Okay, and we present you the certificate here, as well as some handcuffs as well.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right, and then, would you like to say a few words? Yeah, sure. There you go.
I was thinking about on the walk over that I've spent the last 9 years here in the city of Moreno Valley, and was thinking about it, and I couldn't think of a greater way to spend the last 9 years of my career. The city, I've met so many great people, both working on the city side and the community, and it's allowed me to have an experience I think that very few other police officers are allowed to have in the short amount of time that I've been here. So thank you very much.
Officer Wilner, thank you for your dedication to the citizens of Moreno Valley. Next, we have special presentations for the proclamation recognizing Fire Prevention Week, and we'll have Chief Abdul Ahmad present.
Mayor Pro Tem, Adria Reinertsen, our Fire Marshal, will do the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council members. I'm Adria Reinertsen. I'm the city's fire marshal and have the pleasure to serve this community with my fine staff over here in the first couple of rows. Fire Prevention Week this year is October 8th through the 14th, and this year's theme is knowing two ways out of your home. So I encourage all of you to look at your emergency plan in your home, make sure that you know two ways out and that you've designed a meeting place for you and your family. Also, to check for any electrical hazards you may have and check the batteries in your smoke alarms. Make sure that all of your windows work and ensure that your family knows how to get out and how they're going to meet you in the event of an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. If we can get the entire fire prevention staff or fire staff, in case there's any different ones. Okay. Okay. For a photo picture. All right.
Good, man. How are you? Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get the chief up.
Yeah. Okay, it was half the room.
They keep coming.
Yeah, I know her.
Thank you.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you. Congratulations.
See you around. All right.
There, and then we have. You're doing the fasting.
Yeah, stay here. Our next proclamation is for Day of Fasting. If we could have Pastor George Merendon step up to the mic, please. Okay, according to the California Association of Food Banks, 22.9% of children in California face food insecurity. Close to 1 in 4 children is at risk for going to bed hungry. This number grows during the summer months when children enrolled in assisted lunch program do not have the resource of school lunches to supplement their nutritional intake. Child hunger is a poignant example of the social issues that we as a community face, and it is an issue that we must band together to address in order to protect those among us who are most vulnerable and most influential. By voluntarily Experiencing hardship by fasting, we increase our personal understanding of the hardships endured by members of our community. This understanding will expand worldviews and encourage us to move from our comfort zones towards unity in diversity and a deeper understanding of the strength that can be gained through celebrating and integrating our differences. Pastor George Marandon of God Care Ministries, as the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley proclaims this day of fasting, we are not proclaiming a day for suffering, but a day for unity and solidarity. Thank you. So on behalf of the City Council, please accept this proclamation. Turn it around so you can take a picture. Oh, okay, I got it.
Proclamation reads, can everybody hear me? Okay, very good. Recognizing a day of fasting. Whereas fasting is practiced in many cultures globally and may encourage members of the community to be mindful of those among them who are less fortunate, and whereas the aforementioned mindfulness may engender greater social awareness, empathy, social responsibility, and a strengthened sense of community, and now therefore be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley, on behalf of its citizens and staff, does hereby recognize September 19th as a day of fasting and urge all citizens to fast in order to enhance the sense of unity in the community. God bless you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to everyone that participated in our special presentations. This concludes this section of the City Council meeting. The regular council meeting will resume at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Good evening, and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley Community Services District, City of Successor Agency for the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Moreno Valley Housing Authority, and the Board of Library Trustees. The City Council receives a separate stipend for CSD meetings. I now call this meeting to order on September 19, 2017 at 6:01 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Rafael Brugueras. Please remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by the Honorable Pastor David Carlson from Moreno Christian Assembly.
Would everybody please stand? Put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Lord, we're so thankful that we can come together tonight, and God, that you are God that we can trust in every area. Lord, I pray that you would bless our city and our representatives. Lord, those that make decisions not just for themselves, but for each of the citizens that reside here in our community. So, Lord, we just pray for a covering over our city and care. Lord, I pray that as decisions are made and as we are led as a people, Lord, that we will have your hand and your wisdom in that every decision would be made with considerable thought and meditation and thinking about as we proceed. And then, Lord, we pray for those across our world that have experienced difficult tragedy. So, Lord, we pray that you would be with them, and from earthquakes to hurricanes to areas of war, and we ask your presence with them. We thank you for those that serve, that protect us, from our fire and police to our public servants, to those in our military, and we thank you for them. Lord, I pray that you would bless this meeting tonight, and what a privilege it is for us to come before you and know that you are a God that we can trust completely. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. All right, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gaiba,
Here.
Councilmember Marquez,
Here.
Councilmember Cabrera,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca,
Here.
Mayor Gutierrez.
Present. Staff introductions, please.
Pat Hakisnare, City Clerk.
Marshall Ironman, Chief Financial Officer, City Treasurer.
Martin Kozanowicz, City Attorney.
Tom DeSantis, Assistant City Manager.
Mike Lee, Economic Development Director. Mike Lloyd, Interim City Engineer.
Joel Ontiveros, Chief of Police.
Abdul Ahmed, Fire Chief.
Mel Alonso, Community Services.
Alan Brock, Community Development Director.
Okay, thank you, staff. Just as a friendly reminder, the city is currently offering Spanish translation services. So if anyone is interested in this feature, the devices can be checked out in the back of the room right over there. Si están interesados para rentar una, how should we say device? Un aparato de español, pues allá atrás, okay? Before we hear public comments this evening, I ask and encourage everyone participating to keep their comments respectful towards each other, especially towards the individuals at the podium speaking. I embrace and support the First Amendment right to free speech, including everyone's right to speak at this meeting and share his or her views about the issues concerning our city. Finally, I ask that speakers bear in mind that comments are limited to 3 minutes for each speaker and that you refrain from duplicating comments already made by others, other than to note that you agree with the comment. Public comments on matters on the agenda will be taken up as the item is called for business and only for that specific item, between staff's report and city council deliberation. Those wishing to speak on any subject not on the agenda on the jurisdiction of the city council may speak now. Those wishing to speak should complete and submit a blue speaker slip to the bailiff. There's a 3-minute time limit per person. All remarks and questions shall be addressed to the presiding officer or to the city council. The city clerk will call 3 names at a time. Please move to the front of the room when you hear your name called. In order to preserve the meeting decorum, I've requested that council and staff will not respond during public comments. Any council comments or questions to staff or the public will be addressed during the council closing comments. City Clerk, do we have any requests to speak for non-agenda items?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many?
We have 5 so far.
Okay.
Jorge Quintero, Rafael Burgueras, Tom Gerard.
Okay, so we can have Jorge. And then if Rafael and Thomas Gerald can get ready. Okay, thanks. Does Steve have, do we have the media guys, Steve? For the extra mic? Oh, there he is. Un momento, okay?
Yo tengo, I had 6 minutes, right?
Yes.
All the time.
Said it.
Yeah.
Testing.
Okay. Okay, good.
Buenas noches.
Good evening. I am Mr. Gutierrez,
Carles, miembro del staff
and I'm
público.
also, and thank you, and good evening, all the public that's present today.
Yo quisiera
I would like
estimular
to
mi
start off
preocupación
with
acerca de lo que está pasando
inform you
con lo que
in
ha
regards
pasado
to what is happening in the city of
como
Florida, in
Houston
the state of Florida, the city of Houston,
y como en México.
and also what's going on in Mexico.
Lamentablemente,
Unfortunately,
ahora se cumplían 32 años de un
today
ciclo,
it's
de un
the
terremoto.
anniversary of 32 years of a
en el
earthquake
90
that happened
exactamente en el
in
85,
Mexico in 1985,
en este mismo día.
on the same date.
Y lamentablemente pasó
Unfortunately, this
lo
happened,
impensable.
and the unthinkable happened.
Hubo otro temblor.
There
Lamentable.
has been another earthquake.
Muchos muertos,
A lot of dead people,
muchos edificios caídos.
a lot of tore down buildings,
Pobre gente, deberíamos de tener un
and
minuto de silencio por
just
esa gente.
disaster. And I'm asking for a moment of silence for those people.
Pero quisiera también
However,
saber
I would like to know
si la ciudad
if
de Moreno
the
Valley
city of Moreno Valley
está preparada
is prepared
con un contingente
to some type of
de un plan de
disaster
contingencia.
preparation.
Sé que en
And
las
I also
escuelas
know that the schools,
yeah,
there were something in place to be a disaster ready.
estamos en
And nowadays,
una región sísmica.
we are living in a seismic area.
Y yo le pediría al mayor
And
y
I
a los
ask
concejales
for
que se tuviera
the
un
mayor
plan de
and
contingencia
the rest of the committee to take this in consideration to
para con el
have
distrito
something in
escolar.
place so that the school district could be prepared, because I believe that we are not prepared.
Anteriormente
Before, in the
se les
past,
pedía a
we
los
used to
niños
have the kids,
una
we used
serie
to
de
ask the kids to have a few
comida
items
pero-
ready,
y se preparaba, pero no
and
estamos
that was
preparados.
ready, and no, that is no longer taking place.
Pues no quisiéramos
So
que
I
pasara
wouldn't
como
like
en otras
for
ciudades.
this disaster to happen in other cities and then not be prepared.
Otra cosa que quisiera
So there's
comentar,
another item that I would like to state.
tuve una situación,
I was involved in a situation in which
estuve en una
I was
situación
involved in a situation in which,
acerca de cómo me está mi
in
yarda.
regards to my backyard,
Cuando hubo la ley de seca, yo no sé si siga o,
There
todo,
was,
o ya haya terminado.
there's a drought, and
Mi-
I wasn't irrigating or watering my plants or my lawn.
Pero se secó, no está
So
sucia,
now it's dry.
no hay hierba,
It's not, dirty, or it's just dry.
pero me dieron una situación.
So now I'm in a situation I would like to speak to you about.
Yo quisiera saber
I would
también,
like to know.
porque la ciudad también tiene algunos terrenos, inclusive el que está aquí por Alessandro.
I want to point out that the city has other lands, other places that there's a lot of weeds, dry weeds, and
Aquí también al lado,
there's another area in this
ahí también está.
across the street.
Y así si nos vamos por toda la
And
Frederick a la subida de los
If
freeway, hay
we
muchas.
drive around Frederick Street, we'll see a lot of places just like
Yo no me pongo a arreglar mi esto, no, mi situación económica no es muy buena, pero tengo que
I'm
arreglar.
not in the economic status that I could fix my yard.
El día que tuve la situación, yo vine aquí a
And
la
so I had
ciudad.
a situation with the city, and I came here to the city, and I talked to
atendieron
Mr.
amablemente.
Verdugo in regards to my situation, and they took care of it. They were really nice with me.
Sí, pero yo sí
So,
dirían, bueno, vamos a ser
at this
iguales.
time,
Si la ciudad también
I
se
would like
compromete
to speak out and
poner bonita la ciudad,
ask the city if
nosotros también,
they're beautifying the city and doing a great job at it.
yendo a la
I
responsabilidad,
would like to
pero sí
let you know
quisiera
that I
que
do have the responsibility,
iguales.
and I would like you to take the responsibility as well, just as we are equals.
Así yo puedo tomar muchas
So
fotos
that
de terreno
I
de la
could
ciudad
take
o
my
eso,
responsibility seriously,
está peor que lo que está en mi casa.
and I would like to see, I see the difference between the city and my home, and I see that the city is worse than my yard.
Aquí hay un parque,
And I would like
el
to point out
parque
that there's a park,
se llama Adrián Michel.
Adrian
Está aquí en la-
Mitchell,
No hay baños.
on
y
Bay
no hay-
Street, and there's no bathrooms, there is no light.
Yo sé que no es parte
And
de la administración que está
I
ahora.
understand this is not part of the administrative responsibilities.
Esos parques son muy viejos
Those are very old parks,
y tendríamos que hacer
and
algo
we
al
just
respecto.
would like to do. We should do something about it.
También el
Also, I would
parque,
like to point out that
no hay luz
the
en una
community
en
park,
la primera sección
there
del
is
parque.
no lighting.
Ahí donde está la cancha de fútbol soccer,
There's a soccer field,
pero
and
no,
that
no
does have
al parque al
lighting,
lado.
but there is no lighting on the surroundings.
Entonces sí, hay que ser estrictos, pero
So,
hay que primero empezar por la casa.
Let's be strict. Let's start with our house,
Y agradezco mucho que
and
me
I
hayan
thank you
escuchado.
so much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Gracias. Okay. Rafael, followed by Tom Gerald.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, residents, and guests. I went to a a festival Friday night. Mexico threw a great festival Friday night at Moreno Valley College. And I was there for the first time. And I was deeply grateful to be there among the Latin community because being born and raised in New York City, I was born in a Latin community myself. And when I left, when I was 21, I had nothing. I didn't know the state. But it felt good to be there with the Mexicano, the Mexican people, because they're the ones that helped me to stay in this country, in this state for the last 35 years. They brought me up, so I learned other cultures, and that's a beautiful thing. But I also want to give credit to Victoria Baca, because Victoria Baca is a fighter. And if everybody will look at the website, there's a piece about her fighting AB 890. And Victoria recently made several trips to Sacramento to oppose that bill. Because that bill is basically from the opposition to try to stop us from having referendums in our city, to have a voice. And this city should always have a voice when it comes to job creation. There shouldn't be the few to stop the many. This is why Moreno Valley has won for the last 7 times on job creation. And again, they prevail. The state or the assembly approved it to take it to the governor's desk. But we're hoping that the governor will realize that we need jobs in all the counties, all 58 of them that are here, and especially in the city of Moreno Valley. So I'm giving a shout out to Victoria Baca for making a great effort to represent Moreno Valley and giving us the opportunity to fight back, because that is one of our constitutional rights, is to fight fair, to fight clean, and to fight with honesty. And this is why we won the last referenda, because we were honest, telling the people why the signature was important not to sign that referenda. And I was part of that thing. So thank you so much, Victoria. We appreciate your effort. We thank you for being part of the council. And we thank you for fighting for us.
Okay, and Madam Clerk, who are the other 3 speakers?
Tom Gerald, Kevin Germany, Kathleen Dale. The last one is Roy Bleckert.
Okay. Good evening, Tom.
Evening, Mayor. Tom Gerald, speaking on behalf of myself and definitely on behalf of the Sundance Center and Mayor Gutierrez, Mayor Pro Tem Baca, council members, and members of staff and the public, both here in the chambers or watching at home. Thank you for allowing this exchange of ideas. It's an important part of our meetings. First of all, I want to echo what one of the previous speakers about prayers for those in harm's way in the areas throughout the world right now with the hurricanes and the earthquakes. And I get 3 ex-Moreno Valley friends in the Houston area. I got a brother and a cousin in Florida, so kind of hits home. And Rafael's dad is in Puerto Rico, probably. I hope he's hunkering down right now, so I might keep him in prayer. So anyhow, people we know and love. And I just want to comment, I like the idea of the explorers being out. It's great use of their resources and good exposure for them, good experience for them. And just want to acknowledge the Fire Prevention Week. I would have brought my 2 blocks of wood. I'll talk to you more about that some other time, but it's an important thing, fire prevention in many ways. And it was nice to see Mr. Melendez get the acknowledgement for his Day of Fasting idea. I served with him on the 4th of July committee about 5 years ago, and he was a great committee member, wonderful man. So I hope he stays involved. But I think I saw recently something about Moreno Valley, the clean city, and homelessness is not going away. It's expanding, it's growing. And in fact, I didn't bring it to the podium, but I'll give it to the city clerk. I have a letter from one of my tenants about the, we didn't express it specifically, but about the defecation going on all around our site. And it's really gotten bad. And I had suggested this in the past, that we need to get a committee on, and I mean a committee is not, we don't need 2-year term. I think we can do it 3 months. Come up with some good strategic plan how to begin to deal with the homeless issues, and then it'll be an ongoing effort. But one thing I see, because San Diego, a very nice city, has got a big hepatitis outbreak, and it's from defecation in public areas and from the homeless people. And now I just on the 5 o'clock news before I came over here saw or 4 o'clock news saw that L.A. is having an outbreak too, and that's very serious. To the point where me as a commercial operator, I'm hesitant to have somebody go clean it up because if they get sick, we're going to get sued, and even more importantly, I don't want my Sierra people in harm's way. So we may need to get a special unit out there, and much like the graffiti patrol, to police our areas and keep the city clean. So it's a very serious public health issue, and I'm big on public health. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, next speaker is Kevin Germany, followed by Kathleen Dale.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for taking the time to hear me. Subject I'm talking about is about making a change in the community. So I know I have 3 minutes. I'm gonna get right to it. I just have a question for the city council and the mayor. Is that, what do I have to prove for my background for it not to define me as today? And what I'm saying is that I come from an impoverished family. My mom did drugs. I ate off the streets. I was actually homeless myself. The only thing I had to do was to survive. That is the type of demographic that I was born into. When I was accepted to USC to play football, I was highly excited about that. But when reality set in that I didn't have any money and that I was another minority kid, African-American kid, that's throwing back on his own, I went back to the only thing I know, and that was, to survive. I did some things at an early age that I regret fully. I cashed a bad check and I paid my debt to society. Now I'm labeled as a felon. I ran into some issues with the law once more in 2014 when I was a supervisor for a legal department at CMRE. From my attorney filed a workers' comp claim, and I didn't commit no insurance fraud. I didn't do anything like that. They said that when I played pro football in Canada, I hurt myself, and I was with other information that I went to a trainer that I didn't know that I had to reveal at that time. Today, I just found out some, discouraging news that, that for a long time, for years, from volunteering at different communities, giving back to the community, actually trying to overcome a lot of things and teach some of these kids that no matter your background, you can overcome a lot of things. And so, my question to you guys, what do I have to prove to society that I'm a changed individual? Do I have to show my degree? Do I have to show the fact that I volunteer night and day with kids, volunteering my time, my business that I bring to Moreno Valley? Everything that I do, I really, really just want to make a difference and actually show that society nowadays that no matter where you come from, you're able to make a difference. And Confucius once said, he who say he can and he who say he can't is often right. And I believe that where I'm headed in the right direction is somewhere positive, and it's going to lead the youth and the community to see that Moreno Valley is a great city to live in, and that you're able to come and make a difference and actually show individuals that you're a better person from the past that you've been through. Sorry, I'm all over the place, a little emotional, a little nervous, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. Next speaker is Kathleen Dale. And who was the other one?
Roy Bleckert, Jessica Gerard, and Luis Palomares.
Okay.
Kathleen
Good
Dale.
evening.
I wanted to just quickly repeat what I've said the last several meetings since the special election, that you guys have not properly seated Mr. Cabrera, so you need to go back and do a proper election certification resolution and then swear him in. I wasn't planning on talking about AB 890, but since somebody else did and gave misinformation about it, I'd like to just let folks who are listening and in the room know that Ms. Baca does not represent the majority of the people in the city and the region in their position on AB 890, and it's overwhelmingly supported by the community. The bill does nothing to constrain the referendum process. The bill is directed at the initiative process and at development agreements being approved by initiative. A development agreement is a contract between a public agency and a developer, and it was never the legislature's intent that that should be handled by initiative. And after the initiative that was directly adopted in our city brought this issue to light, the legislature has now made clear legislative intent statement that development agreements are not to be adopted or amended by initiative. As to initiatives, AB 890 does put some restrictions on certain types of initiatives to come forward and to be directly adopted. It does not constrain the ability for initiatives to go to a vote. So people, please, it's available. You can look it up on the state's website, look it up, and educate yourself about what it's really about. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Roy Bleckard, followed by Jessica.
Moreno Valley needs attitude change, along with the tree logo with the, as Pete calls it, the bird of opportunity flying away, the alligator balancing the ball in its nose, the motto, people, pride, progress, needs to go. And we need to change it to Moreno Valley, the badass city. Because we need to get with the times. We need to get with the logo, and we need to move this city forward in the way that it should be. We should be looking for opportunity for all. And we should be very loud, very proud, and we're not going to go along with the crowd when they're running our cities, our state, and our nation into the ground. We need to get rid of these alphabet soups of agencies that are running this regional planning and this state planning that is systematically clogging our roads, taking us out of our cars, making our housing more expensive, and putting rules and regulations that take the opportunity, and that includes jobs and business opportunities and the quality of life for each and every person in the United States, state of California, and even down to Moreno Valley. When we set aside these differences that we try to put between each other's, whether it be political parties or ethnic or I belong to this club, that has got to go. We should all be one. We should all work as one people, one nation, moving forward. And we should be putting things in place that are going to do that, because that was what America was founded on, was the opportunity for you, the individual, to succeed or fail based on your talents and abilities. We're not going to kowtow, we're not going to do this, and we're not going to make excuses. It's up to you to grab the bull by the horns and make it or break it. But, you know, this attitude that we have, or that you're entitled to something just because you're here, has got to go. We've got to instill that spirit, that can-do spirit back in, where we don't back down from anybody for nothing. And when we get that attitude and we put those policies in place and we set aside all these ridiculous roadblocks that we put into place, that's when we will move forward. That's what we should be doing, and that will make America a better and stronger place.
Okay, thank you, Roy. Next speaker is Jessica. Good evening, Jessica.
Babysitter. Good evening. Good evening, Council. I'm here as a representative of both the Hidden Springs and Sunnymead Ranch communities. I'm here to bring to attention the fact that in the last year there's been over 6 reported attempted kidnappings of young girls and young women in our area. Despite this fact, our community is often regarded as the highlight of Moreno Valley, or one of the highlights, one of the nicest areas, but the residents don't seem to feel so. We have a community app called the Nextdoor app where we communicate amongst ourselves and talk about issues, and there have been many people that have been threatening to move and leave and sell their houses from these areas because of the increased crime, especially in the last year. Our community's close proximity to the elementary, middle, and high schools make it unfortunately susceptible to predators. In addition, we border the unincorporated territory, which is not mandated by any police force. And we also border all of the hills and hiking trails, making it, again, easily accessible for predators to attempt to kidnap our children. I'm here not only as a resident, but as a mother and a teacher. I teach at Vista Heights Middle School, and I fear for my students, and I fear for them not being able to go on a hike on the weekends. Despite the fact that our area is often considered one of the nicer areas of Moreno Valley, the only shopping we have in close proximity is a gas station, abandoned buildings, an abandoned grocery store, and 2 bars. This makes it so that people often get drunk, drive around our area, speed, and race in our area as well. In addition, it's been brought to my attention by my community members that the park closest to the elementary school, to Hidden Springs Elementary, is often a hotspot for drug use on the weekends, and there have even been used condoms left frequently in the area right in front of the elementary school. We've called the police multiple times, and I do not blame MVPD by any means for their inability to control this area. I unfortunately blame the city for cutting the budget of the police department. So I'm here as a constituent and a voter to please ask you if there's anything you can do to help our community and our area, and to bring more family-based businesses, and to bring a more safe family atmosphere to an area that is largely a demographic of young families. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, Louise?
Wow, that was a lot. I don't got the words, but anyway, I agree with the young lady. As far as our, you know, I'm pretty, my heart goes out to the people over here that are getting the earthquakes in Mexico, the hurricanes. I mean, how many have we had already? 4? We're coming with the 5th one now. My heart goes out. I hope our nation's praying, and I believe they are praying for this what's going on in our nation. Okay, on another note, I went to the event at Riverside College. It was really nice, the Grito. It was beautiful, beautiful. And the mayor was there, Cabrera was there. We seen you, Marcus, on the on the TV, because they were showing Gaiva, well, I don't know. And as far as also AB 890, wow, that's going to cripple our California. You know, Kathleen Dale gave you the pretty version, but there's more to it than that. I wonder if she's read the bill. There's a lot more to it than that. It's just going to make harder for companies to build here. You know, we want to build that big football stadium in LA. Well, it's going to be a hard thing to do if this bill passes. They better get on it quick. It's going to stop a lot of things coming to, you know, the state of California. A lot of jobs. People don't believe it? Yeah, because you're really going to have to jump through 1,000 hoops now instead of 100. It's going to be a hard thing. So I can't agree with Kathleen Dale. I believe with Raphael, he's hit the nail on the head. People need to read this bill. It's, wow, it's awful. That's all I can say. It's going to cripple our economy here. We'll all have to move to Arizona, I guess. Maybe Texas. Okay. And again on Gaiva, you know, I get that roundup at the, you know, I live up there in Sunny Mead Ranch. They're saying you're the pro tem mayor. How is that? Who? And we called to find out who put this. Why is that in the roundup? All those houses up there in Sunny Mead get that newspaper. They're believing you're the pro tem mayor. That's a bunch of nonsense. Lying again. I don't know. What happened? A misunderstanding? So my husband called about it. How did this happen? Well, they said they get their information from the city. What information from the city? I don't think so. That was what? How many years ago? A year and a half ago? Or longer? Or maybe a year. I mean, you better clear that up. I think you need to. Because, I mean, come on, Gaiva. Let's get real. As far as Trump, Wow. He's starting another war with, he's going to put us in a World War III. I hope his sons are there when the bombs land. Put your people over there, your family over there. Send his boys to war. He's throwing rocks at that loon, the Korea guy, North Korea. They both think the same, if you ask me. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Louise. Assistant City Manager Tom, you have a comment?
Yes, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. The resident brought up her concerns and we regarding safety in various parts of the city. We certainly understand, and I just wanted to get on the record that this council actually added police and fire positions in the budget that was just passed, the two-year budget. Cities all over this region have cut and during the recession and weren't able to begin adding back. Not only did this council add positions, but this council balanced the budget. We're now heading for our 6th straight balanced budget. And your fiscal prudence saw Moreno Valley lauded as among the top 3 strongest cities in the nation from a financial perspective. So we appreciate the council's work to not only balance the budget, but to enhance public safety funding while doing it.
And we also added firefighters as well, right?
And the city's first ever dedicated full-time medic squad is now serving neighborhoods. So we're definitely on the right path.
Thank you. Okay, would any council members like to make their reports and comments at this time instead of closing? Okay, seeing no requests. We are now going to move to our joint consent calendar, sections A through D on the agenda. All items listed under the consent calendar, sections A, B, C, and D are considered routine and non-controversial and may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the council, Community Services District, City as Successor Agency, Board of Library Trustee requests that an item be removed for separate action. The motion to adopt the consent calendar is deemed to be a separate motion by each agency and shall be recorded by the city clerk. Items withdrawn for report or discussion will be heard after public hearing items. On agenda item A13, the appointment to the Utilities Commission has been withdrawn. Let's go to Councilmember Gaiba. Any requests?
Yeah, just 16 and 19 for report.
Okay, 16 and 19. Is that an A?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
A24.
A24 for discussion?
Discussion.
Okay, A24.
That's it.
Okay, we'll start with A16 in order. So, Councilmember Gaiba, go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to request that this be continued. We just now got this information. The public didn't have it at their disposal because it was at the last minute. I don't see the rush on actually doing the bid agreement or anything for it. It was just a request by the public to try to move this to the next meeting date so they could see it in advance. I just got it on my desk myself, so, you know, it's one of those things that happens.
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, this particular item, the report that was published with the agenda 12 days prior indicated that we would be providing a supplemental report for today's meeting. The report indicated that we wouldn't have the bids back on this job until yesterday, and that was the case. Councilman Gaiba, the reason that we did move it forward in this rather unique way, 2 reasons. One, it was a very clear public works type bidding process, very straightforward, lowest responsible bidder. And secondly, and most importantly, is we are on a very critical path to try to get that library branch opened in December. And so that's why we work closely with the city attorney's office to make sure that we could present this item to you in a way that kept the project moving and still met all of our legal obligations for award of the contract. So with all due respect, we would ask that the council take action on this tonight, if you would, so that we can march toward opening that library in December.
Thank you, Tom. I'm on behalf of the residents. I thought it very prudent to ask and request that. I personally don't think a wait of another week or 2 is going to be that painful, and the residents would have an opportunity to review this information themselves, which is what we're here for. We're not here for us, we're here for the city. So that's my request.
Really quick, is there a request to table this item?
Yeah, may I make a motion to that effect?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to table this item till the next available meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so, Madam Clerk, go ahead and just do a voice vote. That way it's just faster.
Okay.
And the voice vote, just to recap, is to table item A16,
Continue?
yeah, to continue.
To the next available meeting, next available meeting time, which doesn't take us that
October
far out.
2nd meeting.
Huh?
To the October 2nd meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Councilmember Gaiba?
Yes.
Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
No.
Mayor Gutierrez?
No. Okay. I'm going to go to item A19. Councilmember Gaiba?
Thank you. All I wanted, I wanted an is Jeanette around? There she is. Hey, all I just wanted you to explain to the residents why this item, we are declining to establish. I had some questions on that when I said, well, I'll ask Jeanette to let you guys know.
Okay, good evening, Mayor.
We've done it before, I understand.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, so just if you wouldn't mind explaining that.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. This report tonight recommends declining to establish a procurement target for energy storage because the available options of energy storage systems are still considered not cost effective. However, that will not preclude the utility from engaging in the evaluation and monitoring and implementation of pilot projects involving energy storage. For example, we have installed 15 ice barrier units throughout our system. We are looking to deploy more units. We are looking at a new unit for residential applications. We are considering a battery storage pilot project involving one of our substations, so it will be a utility scale type of project. And then, of course, there's the home battery storage units that are being installed. So we'll continue to monitor, evaluate, and come back to the council with a recommendation.
Councilmember Cabrera, there's a request. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. After reading the staff report, I read most of that, and also saw that the reason for that recommendation, if I'm correct, is the cost,
Yes.
cost efficiency, and like you mentioned, there are newer technologies that are coming out, and so like you said, the Public Works Department is not going to stop looking into that. They're going to go after that and see how we can find the more cost-effective solutions. Also, I read in there that the next time this will come up is, I believe, 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
2020. It takes 3 years.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. And then Councilmember Marquez, item A24.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
No problem.
On this reading, I know that there was some promises made from the developer to the residents. What I'm asking for on this ordinance is put a paragraph in there from the developer promising that on the east end of his property will be kept at R1 if possible. Again, the developer has spoke with these residents, and he did promise them that he would keep it at R1. I feel that if it's documented down the line, he won't be able to change and upset those residents that are counting on his hearsay. But I prefer him putting it in writing. So that's all I have to say on that.
Assistant City Manager Tom or Martin, was that something that he promised, or can you clarify?
Well, I know that.
I think he did talk about it.
Yeah,
but I'm
he
not
did.
sure if, I don't know.
Gentleman, the owner of the property spoke to you at the first meeting where you introduced and conducted the first reading of the ordinance, and he indicated that he intended to comply with the requests of keeping that area, the rocks and that whole part, basically undisturbed. I think any amendments to the ordinance at that level where we would be imposing additional conditions would require for it to be returned and then reintroduced. If that's the wish of the council, the process would have to reinitiate with a first reading. And obviously, the applicant as well as the public would have an opportunity to speak to that. We would have to basically restart a process for that type of a amendment or change.
Martin, how long would that take? I mean, if we were to start the process again, I mean, what are we looking at for delays on this?
Well, assuming that this will remain with the council rather than going back to the planning commission, it would at minimum be the staff time to evaluate and then 2 more meetings. One of the things that when the gentleman spoke about it, I know one of the residents requested that, talked about, separating it. The process could potentially involve making a separate parcel in that area. I can defer to planning to make some clarifications on that, but from my seat, it sounded like if that was to be tried to be accomplished, you would have to divide because you would be rezoning properties different densities. So it may be a long and complicated, or longer, more complicated process just than a rewrite a condition in the ordinance.
But in this instance, the developer or the owner has agreed to do that.
I don't know what he has, the content of his conversations with the residents. I wasn't witness to that, so I really don't know. But when he was before you, he simply said that his project is not going to disturb the area in those rocks.
So you're saying it would be like another month, would you say, or?
I think it would be longer.
Now, would there be any fees that he would have to reapply, or?
Yeah, basically there would be a separate application because I think you would need to carve that piece out and rezone it, yeah.
Okay, the reason why I was asking, because if there wasn't any fees or anything, then, but you're saying yes? Okay.
The land's been there, sitting there for how many years, untouched? 40 years?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's been there a while.
Well, I think also too, the testimony that he made, that's on the record, right? That the gentleman made. And then also, the intent, he's already kind of stated the intent already. So doesn't that kind of protect it?
There is no legal obligation or an ability to enforce that under the current ordinance.
The written document would be the only way to go to assure that he keeps his part of the bargain.
I didn't get the first part. What kind of document?
A written document.
Well, again, if it's an agreement between him and the adjoining property owners, that's a civil matter, and that's up to him and them, and the enforcement of that would not involve the city. If it's a condition that the city would look to impose on the project, we go right back to the things that we talked about.
Can we? Oh, excuse me. Go ahead. Go ahead, Martin.
And that's basically restarting the process over.
Okay. Is it possible that we can table this until our next?
You have the ability to continue this second reading. The only caveat to that or caution to that would be that the next meeting, which is October 2nd, is a special meeting, which means that you're not able to adopt any ordinances at the special meeting. So if that second reading was to be conducted, it would need to be conducted at the second meeting, which I believe falls on October 17th, if my math is correct.
The first reading would need to be October 17th.
Well, we already made the first reading and the introduction has already taken place.
Oh no! If we redo the whole thing, it would be October.
Redo the whole thing, you will not see this item before you in October.
Because it takes that long to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would like to continue this until our next regular meeting, and maybe give us time, someone to talk to the developer, landowner, and see what his intentions are. I don't think he's here tonight, is he?
Alan, really quick, if you don't mind, why would we charge him again? Just curious.
Staff would have to request
him fees again.
A new application with a new map of some kind, depending on what we're talking about, and it would have to go through an evaluation process.
So he would have to make new maps or something?
Potentially, yeah, and then vetted, and then brought before the Planning Commission, as Martin mentioned earlier, and go through that same process of the Planning Commission, and then before you again as the City Council.
Honorable Mayor and council members, if I may, one of the things that may assist you in making this determination, it certainly appeared that the area that was in question would dictate leaving it alone anyway, because the grading and removal of or trying to level that area for development, I imagine would be cost prohibitive. So I think that's one of the reasons, and I'm guessing at this, one of the reasons why the gentleman indicated that area is going to be left undisturbed.
Recall, I think that's what he said, that it was too much. Okay, so is that a motion, David?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we bring this back on our next regular meeting, and
okay, sure. Oh, sorry.
This was only a zoning change. He hasn't got a plan yet, a site plan done at all, right? That has to come first before the planning, where he puts together the site plan, and it can be conditioned at that point in time. Am I correct?
This was just a zone change.
Just a zone change. So we still have some time for that to go through the site planning process, and then at that point, those are the types of things that we can consider at that time, and maybe even condition it some. Am I correct on that, Rick?
At some point, either the property owner or, that's okay, or a developer would put forth an application that would subdivide and develop the property, but we don't know when that will occur.
That's correct.
But that is in the future, yes.
Right. So that's really kind of the time that we usually see them making some kind of agreement as to how they want to divvy the property up and everything. Right now, it's just a zoning change, and he did that, I think, primarily because of the odd shape and the odd artifacts, so that in some places he can put two in an area just to make up for the fact he can't put one on the rocks, so to speak. So I just want to make that kind of clear. It may not be necessary for us to do that, but more or less just to allow the process to go through and then have them work it through at that point.
And Councilman, we can have staff make a note in that file, so when it does come back through that next step in the process, that they will discuss that very issue with the developer as part of the mapping process.
Does that make sense?
yes, that makes sense. Okay, Mayor, I'll pull my
You withdraw. Okay. All right. Let me go back. Okay, it leads us to public comments on consent items. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Yes, we have 4 speakers currently: Rafael Burgueras, David Zeitz, Kathleen Dale, and Luis Palomares.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, residents, and guests. I attended this meeting last month, and we all came to an agreement that we were going to allow the developer to come with the plans. If the plans were not being met by the request of the residents that I hear that are opposing it now, that it will be stopped. So Mr. Guyber is right on what he's saying. It is only a zone change. We gave him the 5-0. Everybody agreed that we were going to do this, and he gave his word to each and one of them that he was going to be honest about R1, that he was going to try to keep that as a 1 acre, so he could keep the rocks and everything that looks natural up there. So we have to give him a chance to come back with plans, and if the plans does not meet his promises, then we together, we can debate that, because I was here just like everyone else that's sitting here was listening. So you should approve this project. Allow him to go forward. Allow him to finish what he stated. And what he wants to build up there are high-end houses. These are not going to be $200,000 houses. These houses are going to be way up in the $500,000 range to attract executive business owners, people that want to stay in Moreno Valley to do business. That was his intention, and I believe that is going to be his intention. If he changes that, I will be one of the first, just like Kathleen Dale and Polly Richard and everyone else, to argue about it, because we were here together listening to it. And that's why the commissioners gave him 5-0. Okay? You should give him 5-0 and allow him to finish that work. If he changes it at the Planning Commission, you'll hear about it, because I'll be there to make sure that he keeps his promise. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rafael. Next speaker, please.
Sites.
Followed by Kathleen, you said?
Yes, Kathleen Dale and Luis Palomar.
And Luis, okay.
Hi, my name is Dave Seitz. I want to thank Councilman for bringing up our questions. It's not that we don't trust this particular property owner. He has given us words. He is a very good man. I believe he'll do what he said he'll do. Our concern is things change. What if he sells the property? Then we don't have that guarantee that this is going to happen. It's a word that he has made, not some future property owner. So that's why we're trying to get this changed. Now, I know you guys can change zonings on one piece of parcel and not carve them up in separate pieces, because we've had that argument about other properties in that area. And I've known of other properties where part of it is one zone and part of it is another zone. All we're asking, if you can, either continue it so we can get a written agreement from the gentleman and we can go on through. I'm happy to see the development up there. I just want to protect the natural sites and the 1 acre properties that are bordering it. All we're asking for. Other than that, it's a great project. The gentleman that's doing is an honest person. He's done many projects in town. He's a good man. But it only goes so far when it comes to it. You know, something could happen to him, God forbid, but something could happen to him and he could sell the property. Then we're in here fighting it. Well, he said, she said, it's just nothing but words. But if we could get something in writing from him that he would honor this agreement and pass that on when if he sells the property, that's all we're asking for. We're not fighting development. We're not going after anything. And by the way, last meeting they made a mention of the property hasn't changed since the flood. I hate to disappoint them, but back in the 20s, they did grade that all down for a fish hatchery, which never happened. So the flood hasn't been there in quite some time. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Next speaker is Kathleen.
And Kathleen Dale. I don't know what to say about all that just transpired about A24, because half of what was said, it was just garbage. I think the issues with that rezoning is that that site doesn't accommodate the maximum density that you're giving them with the rezoning. So it creates an unreasonable expectation for how many lots can be put on that property. And the city doesn't have a great record of keeping its promises. You've got an item later on the agenda that was a big issue last time, where you're backing off from a promise that you made to some residents about a setback. So I hope Mr. Dalmett follows through on it, because I think he's the best chance the residents have for getting a good development. I also wanted to address item A14, which is the ARCOG appointment. And The word is that this appointment's being made because Mr. Gutierrez is going back to his full-time job and is not certain he can commit to the meetings. I looked at the appointments. Ms. Baca already has 14 appointments. Mr. Gutierrez has 7 appointments. Mr. Cabrera has 4. Mr. Marquez has 9. Mr. Gaiba has 1. And he previously served on the RCOG board and has availability to be there. So he's your most qualified and most available candidate for that position, and you should be appointing him to that. And then the other item is A16, and I don't understand how you can feel that you've got some secret information up there that the public hasn't seen about these bids. We have no idea how much you're approving to remodel that space, or what the different bids were, or be able to confirm that you're choosing the lowest responsible bid. We don't even know who that is. We did get in a staff report a list of people that either pulled bid packages or were sent bid packages, but that's as much information as we have. So I just think it's really disrespectful to the public that you're going to push that through that way and not give the public a chance to know what you're doing at all. At least make a public disclosure to us of who you're approving and what the amount is, because we don't know. Thank you.
I'm going to ask, Tom, can you just publicly disclose? And then
Certainly.
the amount, and then
Certainly,
also,
Mayor.
was that, when was that printed as well? Oh, it's there?
Got a stack of them there. There must have been.
Okay, so there's a stack there?
Yeah, but Mayor, I will certainly read into the record that the lowest responsible bidder is RS Construction Services. The base bid amount is $198,350. We are requesting a contract award for a total of $218,185, and that is comprised of the base bid amount plus a 10% contingency.
And then just to repeat, it's the lowest bid?
It is the lowest responsive bid, and it is the lowest bid submitted.
But thank you for bringing that up, Kathleen. Okay, next speaker is Louise. On consent items.
On 824, I think the applicant should be able to have the opportunity to finish what he's started as far as the zoning change and all that. And as far as Kathleen Dale saying here, she's calling people down here liars when the last speaker said they don't know what they're, they don't have the facts, they don't have the truth, they don't. Well, what are her facts? Where does she get all these facts at? She knows all the facts, the truth, more than the council, more than the staff, more than the planning commission. I mean, golly, it's like she has the Bible in her hand with all the facts and everything else that goes with it. Wow, I just don't. She comes up here and she misinforms the community left and right all the time. You can't even believe half of the stuff that comes out of her mouth. Okay, as far as I think it's 16 about the library. Okay, as far as A16, it'd be nice if they could have some money put aside to have some training for the logistics, because that's going to be coming. It's here, but it's going to come. Year after year after year, we'll be getting better and better with it and getting more jobs in here, hopefully. So that'd be nice. That'd be a nice idea. Raphael suggested that. And I said, hey, well, let me get up there and say something about it. So, yeah, that would be great if we have some training with some of this money that you're going to have here to put into the logistics part of it, too. So it'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Okay, that concludes the public comments on the consent items. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Entertain a motion by council to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Cabrera. It's approved 4-0, 1 abstention. Okay, moves us on to item E1, which is a public hearing to close the comment period and to adopt the assessment of fair housing. Just so you know, public hearings, questions or comments from the public on a public hearing matter are limited to 5 minutes per individual and must pertain to the subject under consideration. For this meeting, we will do 3 minutes. Those wishing to speak should complete and submit a goldenrod speaker slip to the Sergeant at Arms. Oh, and then before we do that, if there were any commissioners, like I believe there was Ginger from the library. I don't know if she's here. Oh, okay. Hector. Okay, if you could stand and be recognized, but I don't see them. And Dora. No, I don't see Dora. Okay, sorry. Okay, all right. So, staff report from Financial Management Services, Marshall Ironman.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. To comply with HUD's requirements, the city updates its fair housing plan every 5 years. On August 15th, the City Council held the initial public hearing to approve the start of the public review period of the draft plan for the assessment of fair housing. The 30-day public review period started on August 16th and ended on September 14th. During this time period, we held multiple town hall meetings to invite the public to discuss any questions they may have on this item as well. No public comments on the draft plan were received during the 30-day public review period. In brief, the plan examines, per the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's requirements, different data and maps. It focuses on the potential fair housing issues, factors that contribute to those issues, and establishes goals and actions for the city. Some of the plan's goals and actions include reducing housing discrimination by partnering with the Fair Housing Council of Riverside County, work with affordable housing developers to secure funding for new affordable housing developments, and identifying sites for affordable housing based on citing policies of state and federal funding programs. So as in the past, the purpose of this public hearing is to provide an additional opportunity for public comment and to authorize the transmittal of the Fair Housing Plan to HUD. With that, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ironman. Okay, seeing if there's any council questions of staff, please press your button. And seeing none, so I'm going to go ahead and open the hearing. Any public testimonies, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Rafael Burgueras.
Okay. Mr. Brugueras, if you could please approach the podium. And it'll be 3 minutes.
Good evening once again, Mayor,
Good
council
evening,
members,
Rafael.
staff, residents, and guests. I had an opportunity to go over E1 because this is something that I fight for as a resident. Some people call me an activist, but that doesn't mean nothing to me. I prefer being a resident because I fight for people. When I was meditating upon what I was reading, I was thinking about some of the people that don't want to live in apartments that are paying $1,200, $1,500, $1,800 a month, 2-bedroom. They want an opportunity to own a little house. Moreno Valley has approved 2 projects that I know of that I've been involved in. The one on Eucalyptus in front of the bank, forgot the name of Crest something, Corner Crest. And the other one is the future one by Walmart. Now, some of these lots are not big. Some of these lots are only going to be 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. So that means it'll be like a 15 square foot house. If people can find a way to leave their $1,800 apartment like I did and move into a house and pay $1,500 for a piece of property that they can call their own, I believe that they will take care of it. And I know there's ways that our staff can work on by bringing funding to our city. I mean, I know there's ways because I was reading some things. you know, and the poverty in this city can change. If we're trying to help homeless people find jobs, why not help people that have jobs find homes? You know, we need to change the way we think a little bit more. We're doing a great job. All 5 of you are doing a great job. But each and one of you live in nice neighborhoods, for sure. You don't live on Hemlock. And that's a tough neighborhood. And I know there's a lot of people that want to leave there and find a small home away from trouble. So each and one of you has a responsibility to try to help those with some kind of funding. I know they got to give something because everybody's got to put skin in the game. Just help them to find a little home.
Thank you, Rafael. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and...
Mayor Luis would like to speak as well.
Luis? Palomares? Okay. Are there any more speakers, Madam Clerk?
No more.
Okay.
Luis Palomares, community activist here, city activist, all of it. Anyway, I agree with this. This is a good thing that could come to our city. And like Rafael says, maybe they don't want it in their backyard. But there's a lot of apartments here in our city. And like he said, they're $1,800, $1,500. They're 2-bedroom apartment, $1,500. And the people that live there, they take care of those apartments. And, you know, they figure, oh, people that live in apartments can't afford to buy a home. Well, yeah, that's true. But if they can get something like this, it'd be great. Why wouldn't they not take care of it? I see a lot of apartments through Moreno Valley, and they're kept in good shape. You know, they got their people that keep them up and all that. But the people that live in them also keep them up. So I think this is an excellent thing to come to our city. And, well, I'm all for it. So we need something like this. There are a lot of people that don't have the high incomes. And, you know, also seniors. This would be great for them, too. I know there was a senior project that wanted to go up not that long ago. It was going to be really nice off here, Paris and something. Kathleen Dale threw a monkey wrench in that one. She was involved in that one. So the developer said, forget it. I don't even want to do it. He had to jump through 100 hoops and everything else. Would have been perfect for seniors. It had everything, all the things they would have needed there. But anything that wants to, don't look puzzled, Mayor, because I know about that one, about that project. Bob was on that one. But anyway, anything that wants to come here, you know, it's like they don't want it. She might not be saying nothing about this, but it's about almost everything that wants to come here. They don't want it. This is what I said. Go move somewhere else. Go move to where there's nothing. When you got one store, one gas station, one market, one Starbucks, that's it then. Move there. This is a community that people came. Build it, they'll come. And this is the same thing with these apartments. I think it'd be a great thing. So, wow. Let's see what happens. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Entertain a motion by council to approve staff's recommendation number 2.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mayor Pro Tem Baca, second by Councilmember Marquez. Okay, please vote. Okay, Luis. All right, go ahead and please vote. And it's approved 5-0. Moves us on to, there were no items for F, so it moves us on to general business. G1, consideration of extended deliberation regarding the proposed Moreno Valley Logistics Center project from the current date of October 2nd, 2017. Report of community development, and I understand by the request of City Manager's Office.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, I asked Alan Brock to put this item on the agenda tonight. I am aware that the developer Prologis is trying to make arrangements to meet with members of the council, and so we ask you tonight that you consider continuing beyond the initial date where this was scheduled to come back to you to allow some additional time for you to meet with the developer. This is also consistent, in our view, with the reason for the continuance in the first place, because the council requested some additional time to review and deliberate upon information that was new when initially presented.
Okay.
So it is the council's prerogative to take action or not on this item.
Okay. I'll just start off with questions really quick. So I know October 2nd are the next, it's a special meeting, and then when is the next regular one?
October 17th.
October 17th, okay. And then the one after that?
November
Make sure.
7th. Then the November 21st. November 7th and November 21st.
Okay. City Attorney, what are your thoughts? Is November 7th?
I think under the circumstances and with the knowledge that the applicant is scheduling meetings to discuss this project and potentially some of the concerns that were expressed at the last meeting with individual council members, I think that a delay of 30 days would be reasonable.
Is there a consensus for November 7th?
I would recommend a formal motion and a vote to move the deliberation currently scheduled for October 2nd to the November 7th meeting.
Okay,
We have speakers.
oh, okay. And then, but we're still doing council questions though, so Councilmember Gaiba?
Actually, I'll save my comments for deliberation.
Okay, we'll go to public comments. Before we go to public comments, though, I just want to make it clear, this is in regards to whether we should continue the extension of the October 2nd. So it's not in regards to whether we should approve the project or not approve the project and those kinds of things, the setbacks or emissions. It's basically whether we should continue the extension or not. Okay.
The public hearing on the comments on this project was closed at the last meeting, so
yes,
this would be appropriate.
Okay. All right. Can you? How many speakers do we have? Or
We have 3 speakers: Scott Mulkey, Kathleen Dale, and Rafael Burgueras.
My name is Scott Mulkey. I'm with Prologis. Thank you, council members, mayor, staff, and community members. As the applicant, Prologis appreciates the city's desire to thoroughly review the project. However, we were taken aback at the previous meeting by the decision to postpone a vote and request further clarification as to why the additional continuance has been requested. I understand that's now because of meetings that we've been requesting with council members. I believe we've established all those meetings for the next week. To that point, the project has been thoughtfully analyzed by city staff and consultants, and extensive mitigation measures were proposed to further strengthen the project. The consultants reviewed the various comment letters received and had responded to all the items raised, determining that no new analysis or modification to the EIR was warranted. This information was presented to the council prior to the last city council meeting. I appreciate staff's recommendation. If the council has reviewed the 2 subsequent letters that were submitted at and immediately prior to the last council meeting, you will note that the letters are basically a restatement of prior letters that were submitted. With this, we respectfully request this item be opposed. Alternatively, if it is the council's decision, we would request that whatever extended deliberation is needed take place within that 30-day time frame. That period does need to be quantified and limited to 30 days based on the information previously provided. We do not want to leave the date as indeterminate, as this is detrimental to the project and to development in whole in the city, as it leads to uncertainty and businesses looking to lease facilities and establish business here in the city need certainty in order to make arrangements and commitments. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, next two speakers is Kathleen and Raphael.
Good evening once again, Kathleen Dale. My questions were answered. I was curious to understand why this was coming forward because the staff report was pretty obtuse. I guess I find it interesting that there are going to be further meetings with the applicant and the council members. I mean, the council members should be reaching out to members of the community who have expressed concerns about this project as well and meeting with them if the continuation is to deal with the new information or to make sure that everybody's interests are being looked at when you come back to make a decision. I don't have a particular concern one way or the other if you keep it on October 2nd or extend it further, but it would be nice to have everyone involved in those discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Good point. Raphael?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, and guests. So if we do the meeting October 2nd, that will be on a Monday, so that's a special meeting? It's going to be considered a special meeting, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So, great. We're going to give them another 30 days because that's what was talked about 2 weeks ago. Catherine Dale and some of the group wanted an extension, and it was given to them. Now Pelagius is asking kindly that we do this in 30 days because they have interests. They have residents. They have people already looking at the project. So it is not a fake project. It's a real project, and it will do well for the city. Whether it brings $10 million or $100 million, it's money that we need in this city so we can have more law enforcement. Just like the lady said, I can't believe there are things happening in Hinton Springs up there. I mean, that's amazing. I've been up there. It's a real nice area. So we can have Pelagius and everyone else contribute to the egg nest that Mr. George Price mentioned once a long time ago, that we don't have enough eggs in our nest. We should have a lot of them. And this is one of them. Everything counts, whether it's 1 million, 10 million, or 100 million, everything counts because it all totals up to maybe hiring 2 more police officers, another fire truck, put up 3 more cameras, and maybe have a special patrol that goes up and down Sonoma Ranch, Hinton Springs, Moreno Beach, homes. So maybe we can do these things with the extra money. So yes, let's give them the extra 30 days so they can talk to you, make sure that everything's going to look good, because each one of you has made a promise that we will have development in this city, and this is responsible development. This company does not play with little chicken people. They play with big people, real big people, and we don't want to lose them. We want them to stay in the city. We want to provide jobs for the region, and hopefully people in Moreno Valley will find work. Each one of you has made a promise. I hope you hold yourself to that promise. This is a responsible company that wants to do business in the city of Moreno Valley. And we want to honor every citizen that requests a little bit more time to look at the story, to look at everything carefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. Okay, no more speakers. We'll go to deliberation. Okay, Councilmember Gaiba.
Yeah, I don't think they said they wanted a 30-day continuance. They didn't have a problem if it ended up being 30 days, but I don't see any reason to prolong this any longer than the October date that was already set. I have reviewed all the information. We were prepared to deliberate and take a vote a couple weeks ago. And so personally, I see no reason to continue this beyond the October 2nd date.
Councilmember Marquez?
Yeah, also, I have no idea why this was postponed. I was never told anything why it was postponed. I'm curious. But to be fair with the developer, what I like to do is give him his 30 days, October 17th, and that gives us a lot of time to sit down with their representatives and talk to residents out there, get a little more input. It's only fair to them that they have their answer within 30 days. So I go with October 17th date to deliberate and come up with a vote on this. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll speak on this item. I'll request November 7th. Part of it is because I do want to reach out to the residents. I want to hear from the residents, especially in that specific area, and meet with some of the individuals that spoke at the podium. Also, a variety of the associations that came at that last meeting. I've already met with one. Also, I do request to meet with Prologis as well, so I'm looking forward to that meeting. But I do, need the time, obviously, to meet with those residents, the associations, and Prologis. So I actually think it's a great idea that staff is recommending, that we have that time so that way we can meet with them. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes, I originally asked for the postponement, and I believe that November 7th will give us enough time, including staff, to look at this project. I know that there are citizens that are for and against the project, and likewise, I would like to hear both sides. As far as labor, the unions, that's between the applicant and the unions. I'm not getting involved in that at all. That's not for us to say. Our job is only to approve what we have before us, not any labor agreements. So I would also support staff's recommendation to move this to the November 7th agenda.
Councilmember Cabrera?
And I would like to reciprocate some of what's already been said. The project will potentially be built in District 4, which is the district that I represent. And I would like more time to speak with the residents. I've already spoken with some of them, but I need to go out and speak to more of them to hear what their concerns are regarding the project and see what they have to say. In addition, as a representative from Prologis said, some of us, it sounds like, have meetings with Prologis already. I know mine is coming up, so I have questions that I will be asking, and that might lead to further questions. So I just would like more time to speak with the residents and ask some more questions to Prologis and even city staff as well.
All right, I'm going to close deliberation. Entertain a motion by council to extend the deliberation regarding the proposed Moreno Valley Logistics Center from the current date of October 2nd, 2017 to November 7th.
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Second.
A second by Councilmember Cabrera. Okay, go ahead and please vote. Okay, it's approved 3-2. We'll move on to item H. City Council reports on regional activities. The first one that we have is Riverside County Transportation Commission. Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
RCTC? Really?
Yes.
Okay. RCTC, or the Riverside County Transportation Commission, allocated $726,000 of local transportation funds to Western Riverside Council of Governments for regional transportation planning as identified in their fiscal year 2017-2018 work plan. WRCOG efforts that directly benefit Moreno Valley include the region-wide active transportation plan, the region-wide commuting study, the Transportation Uniform Mitigation Fee Program, the Clean Cities Coalition, and development of the Regional Streetlights Program. That concludes my report.
My report is on the WRCOG from the September 11th meeting. The Executive Committee approved guidelines for the Member Jurisdiction Grant Writing Assistance Program. Round 2 Beyond Program funding allocates was $167,049 for the Moreno Valley Community Enhancement Program, consisting of future citywide transportation projects and a general plan healthy community element / health assessment. The planners for the health conference was held on August 31st, 2017 in Riverside, and 2 city representatives attended the event. That concludes my report from the WRCOG. Our next report is the Western Riverside County Regional Conservation, Councilmember Gaiba.
Thank you. It was a very short meeting, not much really transpired, just, but we do have a treasurer, tax collector new in the office, and he's invited anybody to come up there to his office and see how they function, because apparently, and I haven't been there, they have one heck of a situation going like a stock, so they can, investments are very good. We had some presentations on board of directors for the regional, adopting a statement of investment policies, very simple. The most important part, of course, is that we've acquired 3 more properties. So there are now 3 more that we add to the thousands of acres that we're trying to get into the system. So that's it, very simple.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Gaiba. Also, for Southern California Association of Governments.
Very busy, very busy. SCAG is, I'm on 5 different subcommittees with SCAG. So we just had a meeting today, as a matter of fact, for the Legislative Action Committee, and went over some bills that are coming and up and coming and what to support and what not to support. That'll be in more detail later. The Big Data Committee was moved. We're trying to get it in October instead, because it's kind of hard. They want us all down there personally. I can do some of these telephonically and by video, which is what I did today down in Riverside. But that one in particular, they prefer to have us there physically, and that's what kept me from being at the State of the City that time, so I could be there to represent. A couple of things on the Legislative Communication and Membership Committee. Our action items, there was 2 of them, SCAG sponsorship and what we affectionately call a Wiener Bill, SB 35. It passed. So that one's not too good for us there. And then I would like to point out that we have the Southern California Economic Summit coming, the cost of not housing, and that will be on November the 9th, 2017 at the LA Hotel in downtown. I usually do attend those pretty good. So that's about all we'll say for now. We'll bring up more as I have the other meeting. It's going to be brought forward. So there you go. That's 4 or 5 of them.
Okay. City Manager's report?
No report this evening, Mayor.
City Attorney's report?
No report tonight, thank you.
That brings us to reports and comments from council members who did not speak earlier. Okay. Councilmember Gaiba?
Okay. Well, I was up at League of Cities, but I had the invite, and so if you haven't got any other plans to adjourn this meeting, I would like to adjourn this meeting on behalf of the POWs and MIAs, because Friday was recognition, September 15th, for our prisoners of war and missing in action. There are still 83,000 of our men and women in the military still unaccounted for, but we keep on trying to get them. For those of you who have served, you know how we feel about leaving someone behind. So if we could adjourn on that note, I'd sure appreciate that. almost 3 years now, I've been putting out a paper that I publish for the HOA up in Sunnymead Ranch, and it also goes out to other ones. Some of that, most of that's assisted by the assistants, and sometimes what happens is they use a template. And so, unfortunately, I saw that template too late, and it had the Mayor Pro Tem on it, and that was from last year. That happens. That was the first time that's ever happened in 3 years. But typos happen. People make mistakes. So that's exactly what happened there. Just to make sure I answer your concerns out there. I've been doing that for almost 3 years, so the public pretty much knows about it. So I just want to make that very clear. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Member Marquez, your closing comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Several weeks ago, myself and Councilmember Cabrera met with the county sheriff, and very informative education meeting with him. We had his staff, we had our chief of police with us, our city manager, and there's two things that I did ask him a request. One was to allow us to be in the process for the interviewing our next police chief, since our present chief will be retiring at the end of the year. He did grant that to us, that I would be able to interview the potential picks from him. Secondly, we spoke about some additional policemen on the streets, and I did ask him about a reserve program. He gave us his 100% support, and I will bring back this issue to our council for a study session in the very near future. We're going to wait till our new chief is appointed, and we'll sit down with them and discuss this reserve program. We could probably get, I would say, 25 to 30 level 1 and 2 reserves if we start our campaign and put it out there. The county sheriff says he will support us 100%. So I want the residents out there to look into that. If you feel that you're capable of carrying a gun, being like a part-time policeman out there, put your application in. It doesn't pay, it's a volunteer thing, but it's got some benefits behind there. We ask that you look into it and help us in the city of Moreno Valley with our policing. 3 categories, level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 and 2s can actually patrol in a police car by themselves or with a partner. A level 3 candidate could be a community resource officer, and we could release our full-time policemen from doing that and put them back on the street. So it's something to look at, and I hope to bring it to council, like I said, in the very near future, and be able to start that program or continue the program here in Moreno Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Cabrera?
So as Councilmember Gaiba said, some of us were present at the California League of Cities last week, and there were several different seminars and sessions that varied in many different topics, and I just want to touch on a few of them. One of them was actually brought up earlier today by a resident, homelessness. As you know, one of our previous council meetings, we approved the Homeless to Work initiative, and I'm looking forward to that coming back to the council so we can proceed with that. There is a general consensus in the state that any programs that arise from here on out to help the homeless will have to revolve around jobs, getting homeless jobs. There's been too much focus on just simply finding them a place to sleep and eat, and then that's where it ended. So now things are evolving, it's changing, and there's that consensus to, in addition to finding them a roof and a bed and food, let's get them a job, let's get them their driver's license, et cetera, get them back on their feet to be productive citizens. In addition, some of us were able to go up to the Capitol. It was actually the same time that the League of Cities was going on. It was the final 3 days of the legislative session for the state. So there was a lot of action going on up in Sacramento. I was joined by Councilmember Marquez up at the Capitol and a few other members as well. And over 100 council members and some mayors from the state of California were asking Governor Brown to veto AB 649, which is in regards to wireless companies coming in and being able to install certain very large devices on public land, public property, excluding fire stations, I believe. In addition, it would put a cap on how much cities can essentially fee these companies so that they can acquire something out of it. So many, like I said, over 100 council members and mayors were up at the Capitol voicing our opinion against that. Also, I met several people that at one point lived or worked or have been to Riverside County area, Moreno Valley, and they always ask, what's the population in Moreno Valley? I tell them we're right around 206,000, and they're astounded, they're amazed that we've grown so much. So I just wanted to share that. It's mostly a positive note. They can't believe how much we've grown, and that's an amazing thing. And lastly, I wanted to also mention the El Grito event that happened last week. There was an amazing turnout. That field was completely full of Moreno Valley residents, and it was a great event. A lot of people, everyone was enjoying themselves. There was food, music, and then the color guards when they presented the American flag and the Mexican flag. That was very powerful. So I was just glad to be a part of that and to be joined by fellow council members as well. And if we could just keep everyone who's going through these natural disasters, hurricanes and earthquakes, if we could just keep all of them in our thoughts, and if the opportunity arises to help them in some way or fashion, I ask that we all do our small part and just keep them in our thoughts. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Well, I have been traveling to Sacramento to oppose AB 890, and although this bill has been touted as, closing a loophole to CEQA, it doesn't apply to the World Logistics Center. The World Logistics Center had a 40,000 plus EIR, and it cost about $23 million. And it went through the Planning Commission and it went through the City Council. This is an approved project. And many people say, closing the loophole to CEQA, great idea, right? But many people don't understand that that's not what AB 890 is. It's taking away the residents' right to an initiative and giving that power to a City Council. Sure, if you're on a City Council, it's a power grab. That's what I can say about that. I'm here on the City Council, and that's not what I want. I represent the residents of Moreno Valley, and it's their right to the initiative process. It's a constitutional right. So that's why I was opposing AB 890, and I currently am opposing it and hope that the governor will oppose this bill and that he uses his knowledge to see through the sham. I also attended the League of California Cities annual conference, and we have so much to learn and so little time up there. We're only there for 3 days. The conference, that's how long the conference lasts. But back home, as soon as I got off the plane, I rushed back to Moreno Valley College, not Riverside College. So we had El Grito, which was our first annual, And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience being part of the committee that developed the first annual event. And it was a collaboration between the city of Moreno Valley College, Moreno Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Mexican Consulate, Moreno Valley folklorico groups, and there were just so many people involved. I know I don't have everyone's names, but if I missed you, it's not because you were less, because without everyone's collaboration, we wouldn't have had such a beautiful, beautiful event. And if you were there, you would see that it just came across as clockwork. No one missed a step. It just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful event. And I had maybe one or two nasty grams in the email, and I just want to say that because we're the United States of America and because we have constitutional rights to freedom of speech, we're able to hold these types of events here in the United States. So I just want to, say that. I know some people, two people that wrote me were upset because of the celebration. But I hope those two people, if they're listening, will join us next year for the second annual event and become involved and see how wonderful it is for our community to come together, near and far, come together to celebrate a great day. And it's an American celebration here in the United States. We have some more events coming up. We have the Film Fest, Artoberfest, and I know I'm not going to steal the mayor's thunder. He'll be talking about that. But we have a lot going on in Moreno Valley, and I'm proud to say that I'm a resident of Moreno Valley, and so is my family and my friends. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And in talking about those events, that's something that we want to do is more cultural events, more opportunities to improve the quality of life of the residents. So I also attended the El Grito event as well. It was a great event. I want to say maybe close to maybe 1,000 folks were there. It was kind of hard to tell because there were a lot of people coming and going from 6 to 9 o'clock at night. But it was a really nice event. And I did receive some hate emails, and those kinds of things about it. But, it's really about coming together, about celebrating diversity, unity in the community, and just having another free cultural event for the community to come out and listen to music, bands, and just have fun and food and have fellowship. That's really what it was about. I want to remind folks that we will be having our first film festival in the city of Moreno Valley, October 27th to October 29th at the Harkins Movie Theater. This is something that I've been working with Councilmember Cabrera and an organization called Cinemas Culturas. So it's October 27th to October 29th, those 3 days. And there will be a gala event on actually the first night. And then the other days, there'll be those independent films along with Q&A for the actors and directors. So that's a really exciting thing for our city. Also, I want to remind folks about the Dia de los Muertos, or also known as Day of the Dead, to commemorate our lost ones, from family and friends that passed away, and to celebrate their lives. And so, Tom, what day will the Dia de los Muertos be? Or
it'll be on November 3rd at
November
the Cottonwood
3rd.
Golf Center.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so November 3rd at the Cottonwood Golf Center. Also, I want to give a great shout out to Pastor Troy from Generation Church. He did a great job in organizing a lot of folks from Moreno Valley and getting together for Hurricane Irma, for Harvey, all of that, as far as food drive and doing a lot of different donations. He did a really great job in doing that. And so I want us to, as residents, keep all of those victims in our prayers, especially with all those natural disasters still happening. And I'd also like to second Councilmember Gaiba's motion to close this meeting in memory of our POW soldiers. Okay, so we'll close it in memory of our POW soldiers that passed away, and MIAs as well.